The African Dodger game, originating in the late 19th century and stands as a chilling testament to the depths of racial prejudice during that era. Initially conceived as a macabre spectacle where participants paid to throw baseballs at a chained monkey, the game evolved into an even more gross iteration. Black men were subjected to a barrage of projectiles, all for the entertainment of white audiences. With names like Kill the Coon or Nigger in the Hole, this game epitomized the intersection of racial animosity, sadistic amusement, and the dehumanization of black people in post-Civil War America. This troubling history highlights the deep-seated racism and dehumanization that was rampant in American culture, reflecting broader societal norms and injustices of the time. The African Dodger game, and its acceptance by white America, serves as a stark reminder of how entertainment and social practices can mirror and perpetuate racial inequalities and stereotypes. Such forms of entertainment, deeply embedded in racist ideologies, not only devalued the lives and dignity of black individuals, but also reinforced harmful racial hierarchies. The game normalized violence against black people and provided a socially accepted outlet for aggression, which further entrenched racist attitudes and behaviors. The eventual legislative actions taken against the African Dodger game signify a beginning of the end of its cruelty and racism, although this change was slow and uneven across different states. These laws reflect attempts to address the most overt and sanctioned forms of racial discrimination and abuse. The African Dodger game, as detailed in historical accounts and in exhibits such as the one at the Museum of Jim Crow Memorabilia, represents a profoundly disturbing aspect of America's past, particularly during the era of Jim Crow. In the context of such a game, African Americans were subjected to physical danger and humiliation purely for the amusement of Caucasians. This setup not only reflects the deeply ingrained racism of the time, but also the broader societal sanctioning of such discrimination through various forms of popular culture and public practice. The sociological implications of this game were vast, reinforcing and perpetuating racist stereotypes and notions of white superiority. By framing this cruel game as acceptable and entertaining, it normalized the mistreatment and devaluation of black lives. Furthermore, the fact that such behavior was endorsed and promoted by community leaders and institutions, including scientists and politicians, served to embed these racist ideologies more deeply within the societal fabric. The horrific details in these accounts of the African Dodger game serve as a grim window into the mechanisms of systemic racism and economic exploitation that were prevalent in the United States during this period. The accounts of serious injuries and even death among those who worked as dodgers underscore the extreme physical risks involved. Yet, despite the clear dangers, the economic desperation faced by many black men at the time made such demeaning and perilous work a viable, if deeply troubling, source of income. The willingness of these men to participate in such games highlights a broader and more disturbing trend of limited economic opportunities available to African Americans post-slavery. This economic coercion is a key factor in understanding why such inhumane jobs were even considered by those who were most vulnerable. It also underscores the cruel paradox where African Americans, in the absence of viable jobs, were forced into roles that perpetuated stereotypes and reinforced their dehumanization. The societal acceptance and even encouragement of this game reveal a disturbing facet of American culture that found entertainment in the degradation and abuse of black bodies. This was not merely a reflection of individual prejudices, but indicative of a systemic racial hierarchy that pervaded all aspects of life, from employment to entertainment. The editorial comments and the behaviors of spectators and participants reflect deeply ingrained racist ideologies that rationalized and trivialized violence against black individuals. These ideologies were not passive beliefs, but were actively enforced and reproduced through popular culture, including entertainment like the African Dodger game. Such practices serve to normalize violence against black people and desensitize the public to their suffering. The subtle and overt encouragement of violence by game managers and the rewards offered for hitting dodgers not only incentivized this abuse, but also perpetuated a cycle where racial animosity was stoked for profit. The historical context and evolution of the African Dodger game into forms of entertainment such as dunking booths reveals much about changing public sensibilities, yet also underscores persistent racial attitudes. While there was a shift from using black men as targets to using clowns in dunking booths instead, the underlying racial motifs continued to resonate, reflective of broader societal prejudices. The fact that remnants of these attitudes lingered into the mid-20th century, and perhaps beyond in different forms, suggests a need for continual vigilance and education to confront and root out racism in all societal arenas.